This week's channeled message from Isla, the mother of creation, is letting us know that we right now are actively shedding. We are going through a molting process. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you guys are here to share the message with me. Thank you so much. And those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel both from the angelic realm and I channel the mother of creation who calls herself Isla, I-L-A or I-L-A, and she is the mother of all souls. So this week's message is it's a lovely uplifting message, giving us with the start of the new year a really good moment to embrace how far we've come in creating the new reality, letting us know that we are now in the position where we can be experiencing it more and more, usually in brief moments where we'll kind of be drifting back and forth. She's letting us know that we're sort of bilocating, that we are a little bit in the new and still quite a bit in the old, but that more and more we can drift into experiencing that new reality. And she gives us some really helpful details about how we can do that more consciously. And then also kind of gives us the heads up about this idea that we are in this process of really enormous change right now, that she was saying, and we're in a different stage. Like December, she was giving us different advice than she's giving us right now, that we've gone through a process and the energies have shifted. And she says, okay, now it is time to engage more actively in this process of shedding, of molting, of moving into the new way of being. So yeah, really timely and helpful message. So I also wanted to let you know, if you've been waiting to join my Soul Convergence program, which is my deepest healing program. It is starting in, I think, February 7th. And if you'd like to know more about it, if you're not familiar, I'm going to be live here on YouTube on Wednesday, January 14th is the day at 10 a.m. Wednesday, January 14th at 10 a.m. I'll be live on YouTube to talk about and let you know all about what Soul Convergence is and what it does. So it is an amazing program for helping you to work through those issues that developed when you were in the womb all the way up through age 7, the kind of stuff that's extremely hard for us to access on our own. So it's a beautiful healing process with the angels. And you'll be able to hear all about the kinds of things that we've seen and people have experienced in that process. So come along if you're interested in more information on the 14th. And if you know it's for you, then it starts in February 7th, I think is the beginning. So, all right, you guys, let's enjoy the message. I'm going to go ahead and play the original channeling, which I actually did earlier this morning. I usually do it the day before, but I woke up extra early because yesterday was a really full day for me. So I have anyways, I'm wearing the same sweater is what I'm telling you. And then I'll play the original channeling, and then afterwards we will break it down. Before I do, if you are wondering about the frog, I have to tell you, so those of you who are not familiar, if you were part of my 40-day glow up, I have this thing ongoing with my daughter where she had this frog back like 8 years ago when she had this ugly frog she didn't want anymore, and she put it in my room. So I put it in her room, and she put it in my room, and then we kept hiding it in each other's rooms. And this has been going on for 8 years. And she now lives on the East Coast. And so when she came out at Thanksgiving, she hid it somewhere in my house, and I have not been able to find it. And I've tossed the house. I've looked everywhere, couldn't find it. And I was joking about it and my 40-day glow up, telling people that I'd been looking everywhere because she was out visiting for Christmas, and I was hoping to find it before she left. So I found it. I found the frog, and I found it. It was amazing how it happened. Is that so? It was literally at the very last minute. She was here for 2 weeks, and at the very last minute, her and her boyfriend, their bags were by the front door, and it was like that last minute where everybody was going to the bathroom before we took off or before we left. And she was asking me, she's like, "You really haven't found the frog?" I'm like, "No, I've looked everywhere, literally, like every pocket, all my shoes. I mean, I looked everywhere." And she's like, it's in a really obvious place. Like, you're going to find it, and you're going to, she says, you will find it, and you're just going to be shocked that you haven't found it when you do. And so I was walking up the stairs, and I, all of a sudden, it came into my mind, and I have not used the angels to find it because that would be cheating. So I've not called on the angels. I've not channeled because that would be cheating. I had to just find it through my normal human senses. But this came in, and I swear to you, I think she unconsciously sent me a telepathic message because it it came in like an image, and I saw my second drawer, right hand side, second drawer down. I saw that drawer in my head, and I thought I had searched everywhere, but apparently I had not searched in there. And I went upstairs, went in my bathroom, opened the drawer, and it was, I didn't see it right away, but in the back of that drawer is the bag I use to travel with. It's my makeup bag, and it was in that bag, in that drawer. I literally opened one drawer, and boom, it was right there. And yeah, and she had already told, so they were literally on their way out, but they were still in the bathroom. So I ran downstairs and I hid it in her boyfriend's backpack. So anyway, she has the frog. I'm so happy. So yeah. Anyways, the frog saga continues, but I had to tell you because so many of you were participating with me and giving me so many good ideas. You guys had insane ideas about where to look for this darn frog. Some people were like, check the toilet tank and look in your flower bin. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys would be hard to play that game with. So, okay. Anyways, I just had to give you the update, but now let's take a breath. Let's go ahead and get centered. Okay. If you are ready, here is the original channeling. Blessed ones, here we are again at the start of a new year, a new time forming before yourselves, and all is right, all is well, all is new again. And in the newness, what you shall find is a spectacle to share amongst yourselves, something forming not very far off, which shall open your eyes like eyelids rising to see the dawn, something new, a spectacle of awareness is forming between you, between who you are now in the present moment. A spectacle that you shall share amongst yourselves is beginning. It is a doorway into a greater understanding of yourself, of who you are, of what you dare to become, and where you are centered in the here and now, in presence with all that is. This spectacle of awareness evolves from within, and it is shared amongst yourselves, and it is already started, but is in the very beginning moments that are once now separated from what was before. It is an instantiation of yourselves. It is as if you have begun to evolve in two places at once, as if where you were and where you are have now become divided, and you are orchestrating more and more light of your own beingness into this new spectacle that you are sharing. From the point of view of yourselves, your consciousness has not separated. You are still one self. You are still thinking and becoming in one place. But in the presenceful existence of reality, you have begun to evolve separated, as if you are no longer permeating more of yourself into the old way of becoming. And what is new is starting to evolve into the new way of becoming. Why is this important? It isn't, not really, in terms of your own understanding of how to live your life. It isn't going to change how you shape your thoughts or how you exist on a day-to-day measure. But it does change where you are going. It does change how you will start to perceive one another. It will start to show itself more readily in your daily life as this new spectacle evolves. Why do I call it a spectacle? Because as it is now forming amongst yourselves, it is in this new shape that it is taking quite the spectacle to behold. It is as if all that is earth, as you know it now, has taken on something more of presenceful existence, as if more vibration has begun to occur in everyday things, as if the plants, the leaves, the trees, they share a light that is forming between you and what they are. And the vibratory field is beginning to shimmer ever so slightly. And it shows itself to my eyes as something wonderful, something to behold in wonder as a spectacle. Yes. And I wish for yourselves, as you slowly move into presenceful observation of these experiences, you will see it yourselves. In the beginning, it might not be through vision that you start to have moments of awakened and fully present knowledge of this new way of existence. It may come to you like shades or ribbons of thought that move into your awareness. You may suddenly become aware of your more telepathic nature, of your union with one another. You may feel or hear things. It may come to you as a shimmer of emotion, as a thread of joyful expression that comes from seemingly nowhere. These are momentary openings wherein your presenceful existence is starting to attune itself to this higher vibratory field that you are creating. That all of you, the fullness of you, is capable of existing in multiple places at once. You are a multidimensional being, after all. And in the moment, you are existing in two places at once. You are existing in the old reality as it has been drawn through your fields over a multitude of experiences that you have shared across many generations. And you are also diverging from that and beginning to exist in small ways, but still important in the new reality. And it is forming like a puddle at your feet, and you might not see it if you do not look down. And this is just an example for your understanding that you have a wide vista within which to appreciate a world, and the puddle is small and is merely observable if you look down in a moment, which is not normally where your eyes rest. And this is what the new reality feels like in a moment, that it is not occurring in your main field of vision, but it will, and it is endowed with something rather spectacular. It is endowed with a field of vibration that attunes itself to my own light, to the vibration of the light that I carry, the field of new becoming, where your creative selves will find an alignment with the inner truth, which is my field of experience, which is the relationship you have to what you call the divine feminine, the energy of creation that moves through you rapidly. In all moments, it is a field within which you are constantly carried, but have seldom fully engaged in. And now, in this new way of becoming, it shall be much more present, ever present, a large part of what reality feels like to you in your future time space. I wish to share this with you because you are at the beginning of a new year, at the beginning of a new time, at the beginning of a separation from what was. All things will change. All things are changing. You are in the process of change. You are molting and shedding actively at this time. There are many concurrent expressions opening up inside of you. And this can be a confusion of experiencing. And I wish for you to settle yourselves and to not struggle, not rest, but to be in active presence, to be in active presence with all that is and in acceptance of what evolves before you, to open your eyes, to sharpen your awareness, and to appreciate in stillness that which moves so actively within and around you. This is the state of consciousness that will open you most rapidly to experiencing this more dynamic field of which you are a part, to appreciate in stillness that which you can sense or perceive through any of your faculties. This is a method by which you can start to lean into an increasing dialogue with that new evolution. I say blessings and goodbye. So it's a very cool message, I feel, because I love that she's sort of bringing to our awareness, saying, hey, this is where you are right now. It's a new beginning, a ton of change, and a lot of that change we might not even be perceiving, but it's happening. And she's asking us to slow down and to sit in stillness, in the sense, and to be in this active presenceful observation, so that we can start to participate more actively in the place that we are currently living, which is, she says, we are bilocating, right? We are currently in the old reality and the new reality at the same time. Super cool. And she says, yep, you are multidimensional beings. You have every ability to do this. But from our perspective, from where we sit, we might not be aware of it in the same way that like you can hold multiple states. You can move back and forth between the dream state and the living state, and you're not living on two planets, right? It's just two states of consciousness. So we can move back and forth between this sort of new reality. But she says it's like we'll be having glimpses, increasing glimpses of this new state, which is really, really cool. So she says, yeah, you have a presence, just like you are present in the dream state, right? That's a place where you can go in a moment. If you go to sleep, you can go right there. And yeah, so and she gives us more understanding too of what that new state is in this message. All right, so let's go ahead and break down the message paragraph by paragraph. I feel like it's very clear, but there may be bits in here where we can get a little more depth out of it. So she says in the beginning, she tells us right in the beginning what it's about. She says, blessed ones, here we are again at the start of a new year, a new time forming before yourselves. And she says, and all is right, all is well, all is new again. So that is really the message. All is well, all is right, all is new again. Because she's basically saying we're on path, we're on track, that you are well, don't worry, but everything, you are in a process of significant change at the moment, that we are changing ourselves, and our world is changing around us at a very rapid rate, even if we don't necessarily see it. She's kind of bringing our awareness to the fact that this is happening, because it's being aware of it, we can navigate it a lot more successfully. And then she says, and in the newness, what you shall find is a spectacle to share amongst yourselves, something forming that not very far off, which shall open your eyes like eyelids rising to see the dawn. So this is a waking up, right? It's the dawn is like, this is a new beginning, a waking up. This is really the new reality is what she's talking about. Something new, a spectacle of awareness is forming between you, right? So this is a field that we are creating between all of us. And between who you are now in the present moment, a spectacle that you shall share amongst yourselves is beginning. Next paragraph, she says, what is this new spectacle? She says, it is a doorway, and this is the field, the new reality. What is the new reality? And this is where she starts describing what is new reality. She says, it is a doorway into a greater understanding of yourself, of who you are, of what you dare to become, and where you are centered in the here and now, in presence with all that is. So I love this as the definition of the new reality, that the new reality is not a destination, it is a doorway, right? How cool is that? And I think there's been a lot of conversation about that in our spiritual circles, about the new reality is almost like it's like a heaven that you get to, and then we're like, yay, we're here, let's all just sit around and drink tea, and it's not. She's saying it is not a destination, it is a doorway. So it is a place where we will transform in a new way, where we will grow in a new way from how we have been growing. And so we will, just like we are here in our 3D reality, this 3D reality we're in right now gives us a greater understanding of ourselves and who we are. The new reality will as well. So it'll still be a place of growth and give us a greater understanding. So the point of like the current reality, right, is that we learn by subconsciously projecting ourselves into our reality, and then bumping into ourselves and having conflict and trauma and blah blah blah. It's like hard, right? Like challenging, but that is how we've been doing it, and for the most part, until we wake up and then we start to consciously be aware that we can work with this and change our reality by changing ourselves from the inside out, right? So that's where we've been. This new reality is going to be giving us a greater understanding of ourselves, but in a new way of who we are. And she says, and I love this line, what you dare to become. So already she's referring to, in the new reality, we will have way more agency, way more ability to change. And so it's this idea that we'll be living fully in the now, that our current reality is relatively stagnant. Like creating change in the current reality is a slow process because the reality is built. It's like we're carrying the baggage of all of our, like, our past and all of our memories and all of our family and our ancestry and all all this stuff, and it's co-created from, it's a very sticky mess. It's like trying to create inside of something really heavy and thick, and so stuff just is slow to move, like turning a great big ship. It just takes a really long time. The new reality, we are really focused on the present moment, and we are not creating from the past. We're creating from who we are in the moment. So we are just much lighter on our feet. So we become, it's shifting. And this is, if we really look at it, this is the definition between the karmic way of living and the dharmic way of living. And the dharmic way of living, which is where we are headed, we are in this place where we are able to be incredibly responsive and aware and conscious of our reality, and we're able to, if something comes up that is difficult in our reality, in the new reality, say for example, we say something and it hurts someone's feelings, because absolutely possible to do that. It won't be a thing in the current reality. If you say something and it hurts someone's feelings, there's a chance that they won't tell you, and they will walk away, and they will wad it up, and they'll fester and be angry, and they will pick at you, and you will pick at them, and it will be like this thing until it explodes like 2 months later, right? And then you are living in a pattern and blah blah blah. In the new reality, it won't be like that. In the new reality, oh, in just a second, I'm going to turn off my syncing so that it doesn't, I just thought it might be buffering. There we go. So in the new reality, it will be where we can have, say for example, you say something and it hurts someone's feelings, you will feel it. That energy will come up right in the moment, and you will be aware, they will be aware, and you will be able to consciously say, oh, the words I just said, I understand you heard them in this way and that felt hurtful. This is what I actually meant, or boy, I'm really sorry I said that, and please tell me why you feel that way. We'll be able to talk about it in that moment, and so it's a very different experience where we are not creating baggage. We're actually moving through things now, right now. So what do we dare to become in that context? If you have absolute agency, if you have full conscious awareness of what you're creating, right? If you can see it in the moment, then you're not just merely the leaf in being blown around by the wind, which is often how we feel now. You become the wind, right? You are the one that is creating the change. So really it is, how much do you dare to grow? How much do you dare to change? What is your wildest, craziest, most awesome possibility for you? What would be the most awesome expression of you that you could possibly make? And do you dare to do it? Do you dare to stretch yourself to that, to achieve? It's like, what is the hardest thing that you could say? Oh boy, that would be amazing if I could be that, if I could embody that, and then do you dare to try? And so this is the new reality. How cool is that, right? Next thing she says, and so she says, okay, it is a doorway into the greater understanding of yourself, of who you are, of what you dare to become, and where you are centered in the here and now, in presence with all that is. So it's definitely still an interrelation. We're not just by ourselves doing this thing. It's very, as we know, unity field. It's just in presence with everyone. We're co-creating. So it's still part of the recipe. And then she says, this spectacle of awareness evolves from within, and it is shared amongst yourselves. So how is the new reality created? Same as it is now, in the sense that we are the ones projecting it, and we're co-creating it. So just like 3D reality, it'll be created in the same way, but different, right? Because it's not created with the baggage. And then she says, and it is already started, but it is in the very beginning moments that are once now separated. And that, I think that is in every moment, once now. I thought it was interesting as that came through, as she was channeling, she kind of held that moment in my awareness, the word once now. And it was almost like, how do you describe the now moment as when everything exists in the now moment? How do you describe it? And it was the idea that every moment is separated from every other moment, that every moment has infinite potential, and the next moment is not necessarily connected to it, because in that moment here, I might be working on, whatever I want to be doing. Maybe I'm decided in one phase of life, I am a painter. And then in the next moment, I've decided I'm done with that. And these moments are not connected. So she used the term once now, so that the now happens once, right? That every moment is independent of every next moment, and you're free to completely change yourself in whatever way you choose in the next moment, if it is in your highest and best, right? If this is what you want for yourself. So, but it is in the very beginning moments that are once now separated moment by moment, right? Each moment is once from what was before. So interesting. And so, in other words, that also says it could be what was before. We could separate in the next moment. We could be there. Very cool. All right. So next she says, it is an instantiation of yourself. So what is the new reality? It is basically, it's still a reflection of us, just like the current reality is. She says, it is as if you have begun to evolve in two places at once. As if where you were and where you are have now become divided, and you are orchestrating more and more light of your own beingness into the new spectacle that you are sharing. So it's literally like we're spanning the two. So, and she's told us before, and the angels have told us that like we are the bridge. So we are still living in the old reality, but we are starting to direct more of our future goals, of our future energy, of everything that we're sort of projecting out, is we're sending more energy increasingly into the new reality, into these higher states. And it's like every single moment that we're able to hold that frequency, we are building it, right? Even if it's just for like, even if you just say you meditate 5 minutes a day, and in that 5 minutes you're able to hold a really beautiful frequency of loving and accepting and being in that lovely space of accepting what is and being one with everything, and just feeling that beautiful sense of at peace, that in that 5 minutes, that 5 minutes is going towards the new reality. And it doesn't matter if you spend the rest of the day like surrounded by chaos. That's okay. The 5 minutes counts, because we're all putting in our 5 minutes. We're all doing it, and then it's going to increase over time. So then she says, from the point of view of yourselves, your consciousness has not separated. So in other words, from within, we are not going to feel like we're split between two realities, like the way that we feel between like the dream state and consciousness, where we're like, this is the dream state and this is the now. She says, we will feel like we're just one person. We're not going to feel like we're two people. So she says, from the point of view of yourselves, your consciousness has not separated. You are still one self. You are still thinking and becoming in one place, to our perspective, right? But in the presence-full existence of reality, you have begun to evolve separated, as if you are no longer permeating more and more of yourself into the old way of becoming, and what is new is starting to evolve into the new way of becoming. So an interesting thought, or maybe a way of thinking about this, is that I don't know what the exact numbers are, but there's some thing about where like every cell in the body is constantly renewing itself, and it takes a certain amount of time for every cell in your body to become replaced by a new cell. And some organs, like some cells, replace themselves faster than others, but it's like your skin gets replaced every, I don't know, like, and some of it is really fast, like 14 days. Every 14 days you have a new cell and the old cell is gone. So it's like you're recreating your body all the time. So what she's saying, it's almost like, if you think about that as a metaphor for just our whole consciousness, it's like the new cells are coming into the new reality, and the old cells are still stuck in the old reality, right? But the new ones are coming into the new frequency, which is kind of a cool thought. It's almost like we're dissolving out of the old one and resolving into the new one, like Star Trek. So, okay. And then she says, why is this important? It isn't. It's just so funny. Yeah, she's it's not important, but I think it's important, but it's not, is what she's saying. She's saying not really, in terms of your own understanding of how to live your life. It isn't going to change how you shape your thoughts or how you exist on a day-to-day measure. So in other words, there's no immediate massive difference yet. It's not going to be a thing where you wake up tomorrow and the world is changed. Like right now, that's not happening. Like where we are today in this process. So it's not massive yet. No massive change yet. And then she says, but it does change where you are going. It does change how you will start to perceive one another. It will start to show itself more readily in your daily life as this new spectacle evolves, right? So more subtle changes right now is what we can experience. So then she says, why do I call it a spectacle? Because as it is now forming amongst yourselves, it is in this new shape that it is taking, quite a spectacle to behold. Oh, she says, it is in this new shape that it's taking, quite a spectacle to behold. So in other words, she's looking at it and she's saying like it's gorgeous. The new reality as we're forming it right now, she's saying it is beautiful. And that is so cool to know. She says, it is as if all that is Earth, all that is Earth as you know it now, has taken on something more of presenceful existence, as if more vibration has begun to occur in everyday things. As if the plants, the leaves, the trees, they share a light that is forming between you and what they are. And the vibratory field is beginning to shimmer ever so slightly. And it shows itself to my eyes as something wonderful, something to behold in wonder, as a spectacle. Yes. So I think about this, we hear often that the Earth is one of the most beautiful planets, in the universe. And imagine the Earth, but on steroids, like the Earth, like glowy, vibraty, like more intensified, like that's what it makes me think of. Like it makes me think like the Earth is going to be even that much more beautiful, which is just so, so cool to think. So, and it would be, because it would be in this higher vibration. So amazing. Then she says, and I wish for yourselves, as you slowly move into presenceful observation of these experiences, you will see it yourselves. In the beginning, it might not be through vision that you start to have moments of awakened and fully present knowledge of this new way of existence. It may come to you like shades or ribbons of thought that move into your awareness. You may suddenly become aware of your more telepathic nature, of your union with one another. You may feel or hear things. It may come to you as a shimmer of emotion, as a thread of joyful expression that comes from seemingly nowhere. These are momentary openings within your presenceful existence, wherein your presenceful existence is starting to attune itself to this higher vibratory field that you are creating. So I love that idea. It's like a wave or a light feeling. Like I can say the moments that I've had these experiences so far is they do move through like a whisper, right? And if I wasn't paying attention, I could ignore them. Like for example, with the frog and my daughter sending me that telepathic message, which she probably did not intend to send me, but which I picked up about where it was. And it was just an impression. And I could have if I had been busy or focused on what I was trying to do, it would have been very easy for me not to see it, right? To not to experience it. I saw it in my mind's eye. Or like that time that I was driving with all the plants in my car and I heard the ferns singing. It would have been very easy for me to dismiss that and to not like in the same way that like think about how many sounds there are in our environment that we don't even notice. Like the other day I was unloading the dishwasher and my daughter's boyfriend had started unloading the silverware, and it makes a ton of noise. Like unloading silverware is like clang, clang, clang. And I was just off in la la land doing what I was doing. And I was talking to somebody and I was doing something. And I looked down and I realized, oh, he just did this. He had this basket was empty. I had been totally oblivious to the fact that he was unloading it 3 feet from me, right? And making all kinds of noise doing, and I was totally oblivious to it. Like, and that is how we are, right? There could be a weed eater, person, your neighbor doing their lawn, and it just doesn't, you don't hear it because you're focused on something else. So these feelings of this new reality might be subtle, right? They might drift through in the same way that if you channel, if you get messages, they come through, they can be very, very soft, very subtle at times. And the telepathy might be like that, right? All of this. So you might get feelings like, so it's like it would be easy for us to miss it. Moments of like out, and I love how she describes it, an expression that comes from seemingly nowhere of like all of a sudden just feeling joyful about something. And it would be easy to ignore it or to just let it pass by without remarking on it and saying, wow, all of a sudden I just feel really uplifted or really positive or hopeful, or why is that? That's you're tapping in. You're tapping into the new reality. And we are all wired differently. We're all, as I say all the time, we're like circuit boards. And all of you will have different antenna that are it's where it's easier for you to feel, hear, think, taste, touch the new reality, but depending on how you are made. And so for some of you, it may be a sense in the body. For some of you, it might be a vision or a telepathic message, or it might be, however it might be an emotion. So it's going to be based on how you specifically are wired. And there's no right way or wrong way, right? It's still the same, but these subtle senses are going to be easier than then I think it's unlikely, some of you may, but it's going to be less likely that we just walk out the front door one day and all of a sudden everything's glowing. Or maybe you'll see it in a second and then come back and tell us about it, because how cool would that be? But it would be less likely that, and more likely the subtle senses, your sixth senses, are the ones that are going to pick it up first, is what she's telling us. So, and then she says, the all of you, the fullness of you is capable of existing in multiple places at once. You are a multidimensional being after all, and in the moment, you are existing in two places at once. You are existing in the old reality as it has been drawn through your fields over a multitude of experiences that you have shared across many generations, and you are also diverging from that and beginning to exist in small ways, but still important in the new reality. Next paragraph, it is forming like a puddle at your feet, and you might not see it if you do not look down. I love this as a metaphor that she's giving us to help us really grasp the state or where we are right now in the process of creating the new earth, new reality for us. Is she's saying it's like a puddle at our feet that we might not see it if we do not look down, she says. And this is just an example for your understanding that you have a wide vista within which to appreciate the world. And the puddle is small and is merely observable if you look down in a moment, which is not normally where your eyes rest. And this is what the new reality feels like in a moment, that it is not occurring in your main field of vision, but it will, she says. So in the long run, it will be where we open the door and walk outside and the world seems to be just a little brighter, with colors are a little more shimmery, like that will come, is what she's saying. But right now, it's a thing where if we don't look down, we might not see the puddle. And I love that she used puddle, because as I see the vision as she showed it to me, this metaphor, she was channeling it. I get visions a lot of times and I see things, and I saw the puddle as a still reflective surface. And it was beautiful, right? It was a puddle can be a beautiful thing, the way that it interacts with the reality around it and how things are reflected. And it had that kind of a vibe. It was a pretty puddle, right? Not a muddy puddle, a very nice puddle. So, okay, next paragraph. She says, and it is endowed with something rather spectacular. The new reality is endowed with something rather spectacular. It is endowed with a field of vibration that attunes itself to my own light, to the vibration of the light that I carry, the field of new becoming, where your creative selves will find an alignment with the inner truth, which is my field of experience, which is the relationship you have to what you call the divine feminine, the energy of creation that moves through you rapidly in all moments. So I want to take a pause on this one, because sometimes when we start talking about your truth and a field of becoming and all this kind of stuff, it can be like, what is that? And it can feel really intangible. And how do I make that real for me? And how do you make it real for you? And so this is a field. So the mother of creation, my understanding of her is that one of her talents, like what she does, is she creates fields. Like it's like how would you describe it? Like think about like with the radio and how there's all these different signals on the radio. Each one is like a field that carries a particular band of the radio, and you can attune your radio to different channels, right? And you would tune it into the top 40, and you would all of a sudden you'd be listening to that music, right? But at the same time, exist all these other ones. So a field is like it for her, as I see her, and it's hard to describe, but the main field that she's talking about is the field of creation. And this is what she sort of provides to the universe. And this is sort of her gift to the universe, is the field of creation. It's the creative power. It's the same power that she used to create souls. And she describes it before. She's described it as like that. She says that God, and God is my word, so please use yours as the source creator of the universe. God taught her the structures and the forms the universe would take. And it's like sacred geometry and what will we use to build the universe with? And this then creates the field of creation in the universe. And so she holds this. It's like giving us a toy box and it's full of Legos, right? And she's like, you can build anything you want. And that's what God gave her. God gave her a toy box full of Legos and said, you can build anything you want as long as it's shaped like a Lego brick. It has to be made out of Lego bricks, which is like the Lego brick isn't like the same thing as like sacred geometry, right? It's got to boil down to these relationships between things. And then within that, you can build a form. Form will be created from it. So her field, form can rise because of her field. Without her field, we would have no form, which means you can't have life. You can't have bodies. You can't have plants. You can't have anything without form. And that form is what is made possible because of the field of creation that she sort of makes in the universe. I hope that makes sense. It's not easy to explain. She has made other fields before. Like in one of our 40-day glow ups, she created a field, and I cannot off the top of my head, because when I channel, it's very hard for me to remember things. But I remember she made a field of some sort in one of our glow ups, which was really, really cool. And I saw her doing it, and it was for that process of that meditation. It was very, very cool. But the field of creation is just always here. It's like, it's part of like what she holds in the universe for us. So she's saying that the new reality will be endowed with this field, a field of new becoming, where your creative selves will find an alignment with their inner truth. And by inner truth, she means your own expression of God inside of you, that each of us carry the light of God, a spark of the divine inside of us, which make us creative beings, which give us the power to create. And that is that inner truth, that God light that we all have. Every human has it, right? She says this is, and which is her field of experience. So creation is her field of experience. This is her bread and butter. This is what she does, right? Which is, and then she goes on to say, which is the relationship you have to what you call the divine feminine. So the ability to put things into form, right? This coming from the infinite potential. The field carries infinite potential. This is what you call divine feminine, the field of infinite, which we also call it the void, right? But this is the infinite potential. She says the energy of creation that moves through you rapidly in all moments. So it's always been with us. And it's part of us. It's inside of us. We have it too. She gave it to all of us, the power to create in her way, to make form. We all have it. And then she goes on to say, it is a field within which you are constantly carried, but have seldom fully engaged in. Right. So we are, it's all around us, this ability to embrace the infinite potential, to create from the space of infinite potential. But we haven't really learned how to do it yet. It wasn't really active in our 3D reality in the way that it will be in the new reality. And this is part of turning around from the overexpression of our masculine and starting to remember and embrace our divine feminine inside of us, right? It is learning to work with her energy in a more conscious way. We've been working with it in a very unconscious way. So this is what she's referring to here. She says, you've seldom fully engaged with it before, right? And she says, and now in this new way of becoming, it shall be much more present, ever present, a large part of what reality feels like to you in your future time and space. So really, like, what do we gain? Why are we doing this whole shift of consciousness? Like, it's part of our evolution and our growth, but what do we get out of it? It really is the embracing of this part of us, becoming conscious creators in a new way, living in the now moment, learning to work with the field of infinite potential, which is her energy, right? So this is that in a nutshell, like that's where we're headed, right? So it's like, yeah, like in the past, like we always had, that we were surrounded. Imagine that in 3D reality, we are made of Legos, and we are surrounded by Legos all around us. And we are living with all the Legos, but we've never built anything with them before, right? Not consciously. And in the new reality, we become the builders. And that's the difference. All right. So then she says, I wish to share this with you because you are at the beginning of a new year, at the beginning of a new time, at the beginning of a separation from what was. All things will change. All things are changing. You are in the process of change. You are molting and shedding actively at this time. So this is really why is she bringing all this to our attention right now? And what is the main thing she wants us to take from this message is the awareness of what's happening inside of us and around us, and to begin to bring our consciousness to it, because that much change can create a lot of confusion. And if we are in confusion, we are not necessarily going to notice the puddle at our feet, right? And so here is she's trying to say, be aware that the new reality is going to show up in these really soft, subtle ways, like a puddle at your feet. You have to be looking for it. The more you look for it, the more you experience it. The more you experience it, the more real it becomes, the bigger it gets, the more it feeds you, right? It comes back to you and you feel those good things, which help you to stay up in that vibration. Um, so to become aware of what is working against us is that so it makes me think of when, how we frequently will have, like between generations, things will change. And like, okay, perfect example, like my daughter is really loves vintage clothes. Like she's super, super good at it and interested in it. And to her, she has very clear distinctions between clothes in the 2000s and the 2010s and the 2020s. Like to her, there's this extremely like very obvious change in fashion between these different decades. And I have absolutely no awareness about this. Like I literally like, to me, it all looks like jeans and sweatshirts, like, and yoga pants. And that's, I mean, yeah, there was like a moment of Uggs and then they went away. And there was a moment of Crocs and they went away. But other than that, like that whole time period to me is like, and I know some of you are going to be like, it's so obvious. I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like before that, like the 80s, oh yeah, like I totally could see that. And I can kind of see the 90s. And I don't know, but for whenever after that, it's like fashion to me is like, it's just the same. It's just like one big same. Jeans got shorter, longer, whatever. And I don't know. So I just don't see it. And so it's the change that I'm not perceptive to that change, the subtleness of the change that's happening all around me in terms of that part of life. She's very focused on it. So to her, it's like extremely obvious. And she just refers to it like, of course you would know this thing. I don't get it. So I think it is that idea that when there's a lot of change, and I think it gets to that idea that as you get older, time moves faster, that there's all this change happening. And for me, it creates confusion because to me, I'm not able to discern between the different moments of change. I am still living back, in what was popular last year or the year two, 2 decades ago. And I do still have stuff in my closet that's that old. So I'm not as attuned to the change that is happening. I'm not tuned into it. And so what that means is it can create confusion in my understanding of, like, if we're just talking about fashion, what is fashionable? Not really aware, because I've been blinded by the change. So I guess if hopefully that makes sense. And so she's trying to make us aware of it, of how quickly the change is happening, so that we can consciously work to become more aware of what is happening inside of us and happening outside of us. She says, there are many, many concurrent expressions opening up inside of you, and this can be a confusion of experiencing. And I wish for you to settle yourselves and to not struggle, to not rest, but to be in active presence, with all that is and in acceptance of what evolves before you. So it could be a thing literally, like it's a confusion of experiencing inside of you. So it could be that you are having new responses to things, that you're having, like have you ever had it where you've entered or been in a conversation or relationship with someone that is still responding to you as if the argument is still going, where like you've let it go and it's not bothering you anymore, but the other person is still living in the argument, is still living in that disagreement and still responding to you as if there's still something to fight about. And you're like, it's not even a thing, that you have moved on, right? And so this can be a thing where that person has not kept up with the change, and there's inner confusion about the current status of the relationship or the current status of the issue because they are still stuck in an old dialogue. They haven't kept up. So this is that awareness of, if we can be clear that things are changing, and if we can be open to the concept of things are going to be rising and falling very quickly, and things might be falling away very quickly. So how do we do that? How do we deal with the confusion of experiencing? She says, I wish for you to settle yourselves and to not struggle, because this could be a time of struggle. If we are working with this, if we feel like things are changing very quickly and we can't keep up and we're not sure that, like we're just not aware or watching the change or can't even really grasp, like, where are we in alignment with the now and where are we alignment with what was? She says, in order to not struggle, she says, She wants us to be in a state of consciousness. She says, not rest, but to be in active presence. So it's not a thing where it's just like kick back. That was really, she was telling us to rest earlier, like November through like December. December was big time. She was like, just rest, take it easy, rest. Now she's saying no more, no more rest. Now it is be in active presence. To be in active presence with all that is and in acceptance of what evolves before you. To open your eyes, to sharpen your awareness, and to appreciate in stillness that which moves so actively within and around you. So this is, she says, this is the state of consciousness that will open you most rapidly to experiencing this more dynamic field of which you are a part. To appreciate in stillness that which you can sense or perceive through any of your faculties. This is a method by which you can start to lean into an increasing dialogue with that new evolution. I say blessings and goodbye. So that is it. It is this idea of and even if you just do it a little bit every day, like, and I think for myself, I will adopt this as a practice of sitting in my meditation, of just sitting quietly and just listening to my body and listening to what's happening in my emotions and my thoughts, just checking in and trying to be observant, to sit in stillness, in active presence with what I'm currently experiencing. And then I'll start with myself. I'll start with my physical body, because that's the easiest one, right? What's going on with me physically? And then I can move out and say, okay, what is happening in my emotions? Like, am I feeling happy, sad, whatever? I might start thoughts first and then go to emotions, because thoughts sometimes trigger emotions. So I'll probably go into my thoughts and sort of take an assessment of where my mind has been wandering and what am I dwelling on? Where are my thoughts gathering? And then go into my feelings and say, okay, well, I've been thinking about this. How is that making me feel? Trying to check into my emotions and noticing if there are things that are showing up differently, becoming aware of that and without judgment or without fear, and just letting things move where they're going to move, right? To be in presence, consciously allowing things to go, like being conscious of the fact that we are going to be in a state of active change right now. Yeah, very, very interesting. And then from there, I'll move out to my environment, right? And just listen. And I like to do that sometimes, is just to literally physically just listen to my environment, because we frequently don't. And it can be incredibly calming and peaceful just to tune in, and you all of a sudden you'll realize the birds are chirping, or you'll realize that you can hear your neighbor vacuuming or whatever. And you just and just to be aware, and just to be aware of the sounds of your environment for a moment, and how that can bring you into greater connection with what's going on around you. That stillness. So I think as a practice, this is that's my interpretation of what she's asking us to do. And it's not that we have to hold it all the time. I think more is better, right? But even if you just say 5 minutes a day, I'm going to sit still and I'm going to try to come and just do this daily check-in with myself, and then check in with my reality. And then as we move through our day, is there any moment, and I do this sometimes, like if I'm sitting with a friend, let's say I meet a friend for lunch, there will be times if they're talking that I will all of a sudden come into presence, and I will in that moment, it's almost like I'm watching the reality on TV. I'm watching what's happening on TV, and it allows me, rather than having it be immersed, it allows me to just take it all in for a minute, and then to just consciously focus my attention on what that person is saying, and I'm in presence, full appreciation. So it's funny, because it's almost like I extract myself, it becomes a TV screen, and then I enter consciously into just what this person is saying. And it's when it happens, it's a really beautiful experience. I feel like it really brings me back where I'm listening, I'm whole body listening to what that person is expressing, and I'm trying to feel what they're saying, as opposed to just listen and respond, right? As opposed to just, where frequently in conversation we get stuck in this cycle of listening, and then you're kind of the time you're thinking and it's bringing a thought in. Instead, I'm present in that moment. And I try, and I find that when I have the presence of mind to do that, it's a great feeling. Yeah, it really increases a sense of connection in that moment. Yeah, which is super cool. So any other ideas you have, share them, right? Share them with us. If you have ideas of how to be more presenceful, how to be in that state of stillness and conscious awareness, if you have any experiences with this as you're trying to integrate it as a practice, as we're trying to feel into, to experience our new reality now, let us know. Share them. We want to know. All right. So I'm glad that everyone's feeling so inspired by the message. I like that there's such a clear guidance for us. And it's so exciting to feel like we're in a place now where we can start actually experiencing this. I can say for myself, I've been having these glimpses, just like she's describing. I've been having these moments, little moments where like more telepathy, more like hearing the plants, little things that are happening that make me feel like it was so actually so interesting. The other day, I had recently been tuning in to check in on a couple people, checking in on them energetically. And I have a process I use when I do that is I kind of go into my third eye and I connect with their energy, and I was checking their field to check in on them. And afterwards I thought, what would it be like if I looked at my own energy in that same exact way? And so I settled myself down and I went inward, and I took that same sort of eye that I use and I looked in at myself. And what was so wild is I looked inward and I saw my higher me looking back at me from inside of me, which was so cool. It was like like very aware. The only thing I saw was me, was this, it was me, but it was like all of me. It was like a higher consciousness of me looking back at me and just looking at, yeah, it was really, really wild. And I got to try it again to see, because I just did it for a minute. I want to go back and try again and see what that's all about. So interesting. Yeah, it was a wild one. So we are there, you guys. The doors are open. The new reality is a doorway, right? And we are starting to create it, and we can start experiencing it now. And bit by bit, we build it, and I think the big thing to take out of this is to recognize she's given us a lot of knowledge, a lot of information about the amount of change we're heading into is significant personally and in the world, giving us guidance about how to move through it, and then to look for the puddle, right? To spend time each day appreciating and noticing the puddle in a state of active awareness and allowing, right? Allowing it to evolve and seeing where we go from here. So exciting. Thank you so much for being part of this community, for sharing these messages together. I was so looking forward to being together today and to bring in the new year, and yeah, to share this message, because I feel it's exciting. I feel like it's just more and more. I think more and more good news is coming for us. So sending you guys tons of love. I will see you guys very soon. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye, you guys.